and a person, that could be one of the reasons. Or perhaps it was a logistical reason. I do not know. This is pretty new. And so I would not read into it as the Jets are crossing off Bailey off their draft list. I would not eliminate him from the number 2 pick based on that information.
I'm not going to do that either, Rich. I'm with you here. But think about this, guys. It was Reese. Oh, Bailey canceled trip. So it's whatever it is. I'm not really sure. I'm like you. I'm just processing the news as it came in. The one thing that I would say, and it's a basic school of thought. They either know they're going to take him. They don't need to meet him again. Medical's a fine one, or they're not going to take him. Why waste time? And let's just cancel the trip. But even if it's the latter, and again, I don't know which one it is, but Jake, if it's number 2, and you and I were talking about this before we came on the air, if it's number 2 and organizationally determined you're not going to take him, play the game, like string it out, play a little poker. Let some teams think you might take him to let the phone ring. So that's the one thing that I would raise some eyebrows over.
This whole thing has been so odd, BT. And you and I were talking about this off air. You're right. It felt like it was Reese all the way. And then there was all this noise about David Bailey. That's even continued this week, where you've had basically every draft analyst now say Bailey's going to the Jets at 2. It's a done deal. This whole process has been odd. Rich, you've covered a lot of Jet regimes. Does it feel like this regime, at least so far, is maybe a little less leaky than in the past? Because it feels like no one actually has any clue what the Jets are going to do at number 2 right now.
One more thing on the Bailey thing. The Jets had all their top people at Texas Tech for his pro day, and they met with him there. So he doesn't have any medical issues. So maybe they just felt, we're good. We don't need any more information. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Look, the draft, every draft is like a different creature unto itself. It goes through different stages. We went through the Reese stage. Now we're in the Bailey stage. Who knows? It could pivot and go back to Reese before. It's just people, different reporters talking to different people, putting stuff out there. This doesn't mean the Jets are changing their mind on a daily basis, So it's part of the game. It's what makes the draft so appealing. Why the fans love it. There's so much smoke out there.
The one thing, Jake, I think that you lead us into something really interesting. We've touched on this a little bit before, but we can go a little bit more. So you think about the layers and the elements of dysfunction for the Jets, right? Obviously, to me, Woody's a clown. I mean, that's just how I view the Jets. I think he's that bad. So ownership stinks. They've never had a quarterback, or at least very infrequently. But I think the other thing that is secondary, but does have a primary role, is all the leaks and all the loose lips and all the people yapping and giving out information. It doesn't mean they're going to crush the draft. It doesn't mean they're going to eventually find the franchise quarterback. But it does seem like the building is a little healthier, or at least as healthy as it's been for a long time. To me, that's a pretty good starting point. You got to start somewhere. Like, I'm not greedy. I'll at least take that right now.
Yeah, I mean, the bar is like down here, right? So, but I'm with you. At least so far, I think that's a good sign. My question, though, is does that really get tested now with this number 2 pick? Because I've seen multiple people put out there, well, the Jets, they like David Bailey because he's the best pass rusher right now. Matt Miller said on ESPN this week, he's heard, the Jets like Bailey because he's the guy that could help them right away. And he's the guy that could help save Aaron Glenn's job. And when I hear things like that, I get a little worried. I think it's a red flag, because if you're drafting David Bailey because you think he's the best player, fine, no problem with that. He's a really good prospect. I see the appeal. But if you're drafting David Bailey because you're trying to help Aaron Glenn win some games when the Jets win total's 5.5 right now, you're not drafting for 2026. You're drafting for the next 5 years. So you don't take a lesser player in the big picture because Bailey might be able to have more sacks in year 1 than Arvell Reese. I just don't agree with that logic, if that's their logic, Rich, when it comes to this pick.
Yeah, that would be a huge red flag if that's the reason they're picking a guy. Like you said, you draft a guy based on what you think he'll be in 3 to 5 years when it comes time to get that second contract. You're drafting guys to get the second contract because that's how the most successful teams do it. You draft, you retain, and you continue that cycle, something the Jets have found very elusive over the last, 50 years. And so I don't think Aaron Glenn is thinking, look, we're overthinking. You just got to take the best football player. I think a lot of people are just overanalyzing this. Just take the best player. That's beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The Jets may think David Bailey's a better player than Arvell Reese. You talk to a lot of people. I personally, if I had the pick, I would take Reese. I think he's a better prospect and a better player than David Bailey. Bailey's close, right behind him. That's just my own personal opinion. I'm basing it on some scouts I talked to. I honestly don't know what the Jets are going to do. I'll be real with you. I'm probably leaning more Bailey right now for the Jets. just because you know what he's going to play. There's not what position, as one scout told me yesterday, the first question, Reese is a really good player. Where is he going to play? Like, where does he play as a rookie?
Well,
Bailey, you know exactly where you're going to play. When you're picking that high, you want to eliminate as much projection as possible.
True. I thought you tweeted something. I'm kind of looking down at my notes where pertaining to Reese, where they can use him, 55 or 50% on the outside and then 35 or 38% on the inside. So there is some versatility there, and he's the superior athlete. So listen, I don't love either. I really don't want Bailey, and I really don't want Reese. I've been on the record, with that.
What do you want?
I want the Jets to trade out, and I want Caleb Downs. That's what I really want. Now, I don't think that I'm going to get what I want, but that's what I want because I just look at him. And listen, this goes into positional value. We've had that discussion. If you can't take a running back at 2 or a safety at 3, why not? If he's going to be an all-pro and a difference maker, I don't give a damn where you take him. Take the guy, plug him in, and let him eat from day one. So there's a lot. There's a lot here. The good news is, I myself, I happen to really trust Muji. Maybe I'm a little bit too deep in the pool early, but he has shown a good acumen, and I just feel like he's got a good grasp of whatever it looks like they might do. I feel like he knows what they're going to do, and that's all that matters, what he's going to do, not what we really think.
BT, here's my thing with that number 2 pick and trading back. I think most Jet fans, I know I certainly agree, if they could get someone to come up, I'm all for it. But if they got to stick and pick, the thing I keep hearing is, where do you play Reese? But the head coach also came out at the combine and said that play calling is a superpower. And most people think Arvell Reese is a better overall player than David Bailey. I'm not saying that's going to end up being the case, but if you look at the consensus boards, you look at all the rankings, most people think Reese, his ceiling is going to ultimately be higher than David Bailey. So when I hear Glenn come out and say that play calling is his superpower, wouldn't the defensive-minded coach want the guy that could be the ultimate chess piece when you play in a division with Josh Allen, who's a freak, Drake May, who's a great athlete? Like Reese could spy the quarterback. He can line up off ball. Then he could go rush the quarterback. Like the amount of different things that you could do with Reese, I would think that'd be appealing for a guy like Aaron Glenn, not just, let's take the safe pick, David Bailey, because he could get more sacks in year 1 than Reese can.
Yeah. No, Jake, I'm with you. Now, like the safety aspect of it, all right, that's comforting to an extent. Not really at number 2. I would apply that, I'd feel better if it was like at number 15. All right, safer pick, and this guy's upside might not be great, but his bust rate is much lower. Listen, Bailey could be a guy. I don't think he's going to be one of the best defensive ends ever in football. I don't think he's going to be like a Bosa or somebody like. I just don't see that on film. I don't see that when I watch him play. So, but I do worry he's had a lot of quiet games against some fairly inferior